In a quaint village nestled between lush green hills and flowing rivers, there lived a beautiful young woman named Zuri. Her striking features and graceful curves made her the envy of many, while her gentle spirit touched everyone around her. But beneath her radiant exterior lay a terrifying secret. Zuri's uncle, once a revered family member, had been the source of her deepest pain, a sinister shadow who stole her innocence, leaving scars that were invisible to the world. As her family prepared for Zuri's marriage, her uncle whispered toxic words masked as good intentions. "With your beauty, no man will ever want to marry you," he taunted, words dripping with bitterness. Zuri's heart ached, but she believed him, living in a cycle of shame and fear. Little did she know that the threads of her life were about to tangle in ways she could never imagine. Weeks passed, and Zuri began to feel strange. The morning sickness she brushed off as merely her nerves transformed into an undeniable truth. She was pregnant. Panic surged through her veins as despair seeped into her thoughts. The realization that her uncle was the father of her unborn child shattered her world. She felt trapped. Any decision would lead her deeper into a web of lies and heartache. With each passing day, the secret weighed heavily on her conscience. Zuri envisioned a future filled with love and joy, yet the fear of rejection from her family burrowed deep within her. As she cradled her burgeoning belly, she dreamed of confessing her truth, but hallucinatory fears of being disbelieved hushed her cries for help. Zuri finally gathered the courage to confront her mother. "Mama, I need to talk to you," she stammered, the weight of her secrets hovering over her like a storm cloud. Her mother, lost in her own world of expectations and tradition, brushed Zuri's concerns aside. "You're just nervous about the marriage, dear. Everything will be all right." Zuri felt as if the ground beneath her was crumbling, leaving her isolated and unheard. The weeks dragged on, and Zuri's pleas for help swept into a void. Struggling with the dual burdens of her pregnancy and shame, she felt like a specter in her family's life. In moments of solitude, she whispered into the wind, seeking solace in the miraculous strength to break free from the chains that bound her. In the haze of her secluded turmoil, Zuri's grandmother, a wise woman revered in the village, sensed her granddaughter's strife. She often urged Zuri to embrace her inner strength, but remained unaware of the deep secrets that haunted her. Zuri clung to her grandmother's words like a lifeline, feeling a flicker of hope that perhaps she could transcend the shackles of her past. That flame of hope offered no comfort against the heartless whisperings of her uncle, who threatened her to stay quiet. "Your beauty will fade, and no one will want you," he sneered. Those words echoed in her mind, leaving her on the brink of despair. But the fire within Zuri was igniting, whispering to her that change was possible. One fateful evening, after what seemed like an eternity of hopelessness, Zuri stumbled upon a gathering of women in her village, mothers, daughters, and sisters sharing stories of love, loss, and perseverance. Their laughter intertwined with sorrow painted 1,000 emotions on their faces, stirring something profound within her. For the first time, Zuri felt a sense of belonging, a realization that she was not alone. In that moment, Zuri made a choice. She would not let her past define her. She would seek the truth, and with it, the redemption she so desperately longed for. With newfound determination, she confided in a close friend about her situation, hoping to find a safe harbor amidst the storm. It was a risk, but Zuri knew it was time to break her silence. As Zuri's friend listened with rapt attention, the weight of Zuri's words unveiled the truth that had long been hidden. to tell someone who can help you," her friend urged, eyes wide with understanding and compassion. Zuri felt a flicker of optimism, believing that this friendship could anchor her as she stood at the helm of her ship, ready to sail toward freedom. However, the winds of change were marred by the looming presence of her uncle, who continued to manipulate the air around them. Zuri prepared for confrontation, pushing against the chains that clinked around her. Each step felt heavy, but she was resolute to uncover the truth and embark on a journey toward her liberation. On a rainy afternoon, Zuri found herself face to face with her uncle in the shadowy corners of their village. The air was thick with tension as she trembled on the threshold of voicing her truth. "You've hurt me, and I will not remain silent anymore," she whispered, her voice barely audible against the relentless rain. Her uncle's eyes widened, a mix of anger and disbelief flashing across his face. "No one will believe you," he growled, but Zuri's resolve was unwavering. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Zuri vowed to share her story, to empower others to break free from the chains of abuse and lies. She turned away from him, no longer the frightened victim, but a woman reborn with purpose. Word began to spread through the village that Zuri had begun to open up about her painful experiences. A group of women, allies in the fight against oppression, rallied around her, a sisterhood forged in the fires of despair. Together they urged Zuri to stand tall and seek justice, to reclaim her voice. Meanwhile, her family remained oblivious to the unbreakable bonds forming around Zuri. She felt a bittersweet sense of freedom encircling her like a warm blanket. Yet, the burden of her secret still loomed heavily over her, as the thread of disbelief and rejection haunted her footsteps. Despite the sisterhood Zuri found, she still yearned for her mother's love and acceptance. With her heart beating like a drum, she approached her mother once more. "Mama, it's time you knew the truth," she implored, her voice heavy with emotion. But her mother's reaction was one of disbelief and denial. "You're just trying to tarnish our family's name," she snapped, dismissed as if Zuri's pain was merely a figment of her imagination. Zuri felt herself splinter, longing for her mother's embrace, a safe harbor that remained perpetually out of reach. "Why won't you believe me?" she cried, her tears mingling with the raindrops falling outside. The more she pleaded, the more her mother's stubbornness solidified. Zuri realized that she may need to forge her path, even if it led her away from the very family she cherished. With every day that passed, Zuri grew stronger, fueled by the collective voices of the women supporting her. Each time she spoke her truth, a new sense of clarity washed over her. Her body carried the evidence of her suffering, but it also cradled the promise of new beginnings. Zuri joined forces with the women of the village, organizing gatherings to empower other survivors of abuse. Together, they dreamed of a world where no woman would suffer in silence. The momentum grew, attracting the attention of those who were intrigued and inspired by Zuri's courageous stand. Little did she know, fate was preparing to weave a new thread into the tapestry of her life. Amidst the backdrop of Zuri's struggle, a kind-hearted man named Kofi entered the scene. He was a traveler who often visited the village, often captivated by the stories of strength and resilience he encountered. Upon hearing about Zuri, he sought her out, intrigued by the whispers of defiance surrounding her. Their first encounter was serendipitous, a meeting of souls friendship blossomed into a profound connection. Kofi saw beyond Zuri's beauty and acknowledged the depths of her struggle. He admired her resilience, recognizing that the woman he encountered was a warrior, not a victim. With Kofi by her side, Zuri felt herself growing stronger and more hopeful. Together, they became advocates for change in the village, using their stories to inspire others to own their truths. Zuri was building a legacy, one that would resonate for generations. A life no longer governed by pain, but defined by empowerment and love. Zuri was transformed by the support of Kofi and her newfound sisterhood. The meetings became a sanctuary, where they shared their stories, dreams, and strategies for healing. They created a safe space where women could speak freely, empowering one another to embrace their truths without shame. Zuri's heart swelled with pride as she watched her friends find their voices, growing stronger with every gathering. Kofi, inspired by Zuri's passion, volunteered to help them organize awareness campaigns in the village. Together, they designed flyers and arranged community forums to educate men and women about the importance of standing against abuse. Zuri felt alive for the first time, invigorated by a purpose far greater than her own pain. Courage was fluttering in her heart, whispering sweet assurances of freedom. As Zuri's activism gained momentum, her uncle began to feel the stirrings of unease ripple through the village. Tales of Zuri's bravery traveled like wildfire, igniting the curiosity of many. Increasingly, people began to question the status quo and challenge the narratives that silenced the vulnerable. Zuri's heart raced with anticipation. She felt the tides of change rising, ready to wash away the darkness that had once enveloped her. But her uncle was not one to sit idly by. He schemed with subtlety, weaving lies and planting seeds of doubt among those who had once revered him. He sought to protect himself, unaware that his web of manipulation was becoming increasingly fragile under the weight of Zuri's truth. Amidst the rising tension, Zuri realized that she had to confront her uncle publicly to garner support for her cause. She gathered her courage, feeling Kofi's reassuring presence at her side. Under the bright glare of the midday sun, Zuri stood before a gathering of villagers and shared her story once more, this time with a fiercer resolve. "I will no longer be a prisoner of shame or fear," she proclaimed, her voice trembling but strong. "My uncle has haunted my life, but I'm not afraid to speak the truth." Gasps echoed through the crowd, and Zuri saw shock, sympathy, and anger simmering within the hearts of those she knew. It was a pivotal moment. Zuri was reclaiming her narrative, dismantling the silence that had shackled her for years. While many villagers rallied around Zuri, not everyone was supportive. Whispers of skepticism spread like wildfire, fueled by her uncle's influence. He gathered forces, convincing some that Zuri was merely seeking attention or trying to tarnish his name. The community was polarized, and Zuri felt the weight of their gazes, a mix of admiration and doubt, turning like a kaleidoscope around her. Kofi stood firm beside her, a pillar of unwavering support. Together they braved the storm of whispers and skepticism. "It's just the beginning," he reminded her, his eyes filled with determination. Zuri held on to that hope, feeling it ignite a fire within her vein anew, propelling her forward even amidst adversity. Encouraged by Kofi and the sisterhood, Zuri pressed forward, engaging with local leaders and advocating for her cause. In a crowded town hall meeting, she presented her story again, this time with the facts and figures to highlight the reality of abuse in their community. The atmosphere was charged, and she could feel the tension palpable in the air. As she spoke, Zuri noticed some villagers nodding with understanding, men and women alike. Perhaps, just perhaps, she could awaken the hearts of those who had once turned away from difficult conversations. The tide of disbelief began to shift. Her courage was sparking a movement that could not be extinguished. With each passing day, Zuri increasingly realized that healing was also about listening and empathizing with others. She invited survivors to share their journeys during community gatherings. Each story shared was a thread woven into a powerful tapestry, forming a collective voice that drowned out the whispers of doubt. Zuri found strength in vulnerability. She embraced her past as part of her identity, but refused to let it dictate her future. The sisterhood flourished, reminding everyone that healing was not a solitary journey. It was a shared love of courage and community. One evening, as Zuri and Kofi were brainstorming for their next community initiative, they were unexpectedly interrupted by a visit from Zuri's mother. Tension filled the air. She never stepped foot near the gatherings until now. Zuri's heart raced. Was this a moment of reckoning? "Mama, what brings you here?" Zuri asked, cautiously optimistic. Her mother looked weary, her eyes filled with a mix of apprehension and determination. "I've been hearing things, your gatherings, your campaigns. I've come to listen," she said, vulnerability mocking her earlier disbelief. Zuri felt a swell of hope. As her mother sat quietly amongst the circle of women, Zuri shared her journey in a more personal light. "I have struggled with silence for too long, but I found a community, Mama. I'm building a future free of fear, for me and for others." Zuri spoke, her voice steady. Her mother's eyes brimmed with tears, realization dawning upon her. A mother's instinct finally cutting through the shadows of ignorance. Zuri felt a crack in her mother's armor, a bridge forming between their hearts. Perhaps a new beginning was indeed possible, one filled with understanding, love, and acceptance. As the weeks went by, Zuri's mother became an integral part of their cause. The time spent with her daughter opened her eyes, understanding the nuances of pain and the importance of advocacy for those who suffered in silence. Zuri felt a warmth grow between them, allowing their bond to deepen. Meanwhile, the undeniable connection between Zuri and Kofi blossomed into love. Kofi admired Zuri's strength and tenacity, while she found in him a gentle, unwavering presence that soothed her soul. With each shared day, they discovered new layers of each other, hearts intertwined in a mission far greater than both of them. Eager to create lasting change, Zuri and Kofi organized a village-wide event, a day of awareness and healing. They invited speakers, local leaders, and advocates from surrounding areas to share their experiences and expertise. The event was designed to educate and empower, encouraging those who had suffered in silence to break free and reclaim their narratives. As excitement buzzed in the air, Zuri could feel the energy shifting. The villagers were responding with openness. There was a palpable sense of hope and unity taking root. Soon the day of the event arrived, and Zuri stood before the crowd, her heart pounding but resolute. The sun shone brightly as Zuri stepped up to the podium, the crowd buzzing with intrigue. Her heart raced, yet she felt the electricity of change in the air. "Today is not just about me. It's about all of us who have ever felt voiceless," she began, her voice strong and clear, resonating with authenticity. During that day of awareness, stories flowed like a river, touching souls and igniting hearts. People began to gather in small groups, venting their fears, their pain, and their journeys of survival. By the end of the event, barriers had fallen, and an air of solidarity enveloped the village, creating an atmosphere of hope where despair once resided. As gratitude swept through the crowd, Zuri's uncle watched from a distance, a simmering rage bubbling beneath his facade. The whispers of doubt no longer cloaked his past. The very truths he had tried to bury were beginning to resurface. Several of the villagers had also begun to question his character, and this made him erupt with fury. Desperate to maintain control, he attempted to convince some of the villagers that Zuri had orchestrated the gathering to settle scores against the family. "She is seeking attention, and you're all falling for her charade," he yelled. But the collective spirit of the people was no longer swayed by his manipulation. Zuri felt empowered, knowing that love and truth were stronger than his relentless deceit. In a moment of desperation, Zuri's uncle resorted to desperate measures. He wrote a letter, a final attempt to discredit Zuri and shift blame onto her, claiming that her words were fabrications. The letter circulated within the community, creating ripples of confusion for some. Zuri felt her heart clench, but she was not willing to give in. Summoning all her courage, Zuri organized a community meeting to address the letter openly. "For too long, I have lived under shadows. This is my truth," she stated, her eyes searching the faces before her. With confidence, she read parts of the letter, exposing her uncle's deceit. It was a powerful moment that seemed to galvanize energy from the crowd, a deep collective understanding of truth against the lies. As the village rallied behind her, they began forming a committee dedicated to raising awareness and supporting survivors. Zuri was appointed chairperson, a testament to the trust she had built within the community. The initiative served not just as a shield against abuse, but as a buzzing nucleus for healing and empowerment. Kofi remained by her side, advocating passionately for the cause. Together, they brainstormed and strategized, their dreams growing into actionable goals. Zuri began to see a glimmer of the future she envisioned, a world where victims would no longer be silenced, and love would dance over fear. As their work gained visibility, news of Zuri's efforts reached neighboring villages. One day, a particularly influential woman named Mama Amina arrived, having heard about Zuri's courage. She had weathered her own storms and had become a fierce advocate for women's rights in her community. Mama Amina offered her support, proposing to collaborate on a larger initiative that would connect various villages in the fight against abuse. Zuri felt a spark ignite within her. The possibilities were endless. Together, they could create a network of voices, united in the belief that every story mattered and that change could blossom from the ashes of despair. With the foundation of their journey set in motion, Zuri and Mama Amina began planning a regional summit. They envisioned a gathering of survivors, advocates, and leaders, sharing stories and strategies, building alliances that would extend far beyond their villages. Zuri felt exhilarated. She was no longer alone, and she could feel waves of change resonating with every step they took. The preparations were monumental, but to Zuri, every hurdle became fuel for her fire. She organized workshops, secured speakers, and crafted agendas. With Kofi beside her, she worked tirelessly, navigating through the logistics and the vision they forged together. Each step forward solidified her belief. Her past did not dictate her future, but amidst the pristine joy of advocacy, Zuri faced internal struggles in her relationship with Kofi. He had been a consistent source of strength, yet the weight of her past began to affect their bond. Zuri grappled with the inner voice that whispered insecurities, convincing her that Kofi deserved someone without a scarred history. Having learned through their journey that honesty breeds connection, Zuri confided To Zuri, Kofi became a lighthouse in the tumultuous seas of self-doubt. Encouraged by his unwavering support, Zuri began to grasp the importance of self-acceptance. Embracing her scars would not only empower her, but inspire others to find solace in their experiences. As the regional summit approached, Zuri focused on healing herself while helping others. Kofi stood steadfastly by her side. Every small step they took mirrored her growth in strength. Together, they were cultivating a garden of ambition, courage, and love, creating a legacy far beyond their understanding. The day of the regional summit arrived, radiating possibility and love as participants congregated from various regions. The gathering hall buzzed with excitement, adorned with bright banners of hope. Zuri felt as if her dreams were unfolding right before her. As she stepped up to welcome attendees, her heart raced with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. Today we come together, not just as survivors, but as a family, she proclaimed, her voice strong and unyielding. With each speaker who took the stage, stories of resilience, pain, love, and triumph echoed through the hall, transforming hearts and igniting passions. Among the audience was a woman named Lila, who had faced her own battle with abuse, yet was still finding the strength to speak out. Zuri watched as Lila bravely took the microphone, sharing her story of survival. It was potent and raw, unraveling a truth that resonated with many present. The room transferred into cleaving silence, and when Lila finished, a wave of applause erupted like thunder, bringing tears to Zuri's eyes. Lila's journey sparked a fire within others. Moved by her story, more individuals stepped forward to recount their experiences, igniting flames of hope throughout the assembly. It was a defining moment, proof that they were no longer alone, that they could thrive amidst the pain. As the summit day faded into memory, Zuri and Kofi continued to work collaboratively, merging their plans into a long-term vision. Zuri felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before, encased in love, understanding, and support. Their bond deepened in the face of challenges, fortified by shared dreams and an unwavering belief in their mission. However, the uncertainties of their future loomed overhead. Zuri yearned for a fresh start, a new life for herself and her unborn child. It was within these moments of clarity that Zuri began contemplating the possibility of marriage, wondering how the chapter of her life would unfold alongside Kofi. Each glance at him ignited another question. Could a future together truly flourish against the remnants of her past? Sensing Zuri's internal struggle, Kofi invited her to sit amidst the tranquil gardens, beneath a blossoming tree. With petals dancing in the gentle breeze, they spoke of their dreams, of love, and of their vision for family, a future untethered by history. It was there, under the shade of the tree, that Kofi proposed they write a pact together, a promise of mutual strength, acceptance, and love in any circumstances. Zuri felt the warmth in her heart radiate. She knew this symbolized their commitment to each other, a token of their shared journey toward healing. They penned heartfelt vows together, intertwining their past with the hope for a joyful future. The pact became a treasured keepsake, an everlasting reminder of their dedication to one another. With renewed determination, Zuri and Kofi embarked on planning a small ceremony to celebrate their commitment. A union grounded in trust and love reminiscent of the blossoms surrounding them. But with their burgeoning happiness came uncertainty as Zuri pondered the devilishly relatable presence of her uncle. Would he retaliate now that she was solidifying her independence? Zuri grew stronger every day, learning that fear should propel them forward. The moment she wavered, she reminded herself of the sisterhood that provided unwavering support. Kofi reassured her that they would face whatever adversities came together, a duo unyielding against any storm. As they counted down the days to their ceremony, Zuri and Kofi invited close friends and family, fostering a circle of warmth and understanding. Zuri's mother lent a supportive hand, crafting traditional garments and facilitating connections among the community, establishing a newfound bond between them, an awakening spirit of healing. The stage was being set, a gathering to symbolize unity and love, a beacon of hope amid the darkness they once faced. It was a move towards something larger than themselves, a testament to the power of healing and togetherness that could flourish even in the harshest circumstances. Finally, the day arrived, draped in colors of celebration, love, and joy. Surrounded by dear friends and family, Zuri felt radiant as she walked down the aisle toward Kofi, who stood patiently, a warm smile lighting his face. This day was a cascade of glimmers, a radiant cherry blossom unfolding, a celebration of rebirth and the vast possibilities of love. They exchanged vows under the exquisite canopy of nature, with the lingering fragrance of blossoms enveloping them. Zuri's heart soared, illuminating her spirit, as she realized that uniting with Kofi symbolized more than her past. It brought forth new hope for the unknown future. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Zuri felt a wave of fulfillment envelop her. Surrounded by laughter, love, and the warmth of supportive hearts, they stepped into a life brimming with potential. The bond formed with her mother, and the community solidified the strength that Zuri had continuously sought. The journey of empowerment and healing resonated deep within her, a reaffirmation that love could rise above pain. The commitment to a brighter future blossomed like a garden after rain, and Zuri felt hopeful about whatever chapters lay ahead. Though freedom sparkled in the air, remnants of reflection still stirred within Zuri. As the dust settled from her wedding, she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty lingering over her family regarding her uncle. Knowing there would be challenges to navigate, she was steadfast in her resolve to stand her ground, her spirit knit together with an unbreakable thread of resilience. Kofi held her hand, understanding the realities that lay ahead. They made a pact to face every trial united, learning from each experience and anchoring one another amid the storms of life. Together, they prepared for their next chapter, wholly committed to building a future, not only for themselves, but also for their baby, whose presence was soon to be felt. As the seasons changed and Zuri's belly grew with life, she found comfort in preparing for motherhood with Kofi by her side. They ventured into the village, shopping for supplies, feeling excitement and tender anticipation nurtured their bond. Yet shadows of anxiety rushed in again, moments of unease reminding Zuri of her past. "What kind of mother can I be?" she whispered one night, her heart heavy. Kofi reassured her, brushing his fingers against hers gently. "You'll be an incredible mother, strong and full of love. Your past does not define the mother you will be." The nearing due date was compounded by the deep-rooted fear of her uncle's potential actions. Fueled by anxiety and doubt, Zuri worried that he'd emerge from the shadows to sow discord. But with each passing day, she discovered the strength of her voice, determined to show her child the power of love, unity, and the courage to face fears. On the day of her baby's arrival, Zuri felt an exhilarating burst of energy. Surrounded by supportive family and friends, she embraced the moment of giving life. Kofi held her hand tightly, bringing waves of comfort to Zuri, infusing her spirit with love. The labor was a trial, but Zuri's resolve crackled in her very soul. She would never allow her past to dictate her present. When the cries of her newborn echoed through the room, Zuri clutched her child close, tears streaming down her cheeks. In that moment, fears dissipated, replaced by an overwhelming wave of love and joy. Kofi gazed at their child with awe, recognizing the beautiful future before them, one built on the foundations of their laborious journey. Named Layla, their daughter instantly became the centerpiece of their lives, embodying the essence of hope, nurturing, and unbreakable resilience. Her arrival was a celebration, a testament to the possibility that arose from darkness, a joy unmasked, ready to be embraced by the world. As Zuri and Kofi adjusted to their new reality of parenthood, they also focused on nurturing their community. A strong foundation was being built, not just for their family, but for everyone who had come forth, sharing their truths and vulnerabilities. Layla's births united them all in purpose, a symbol of a future filled with light and love. Together, they organized events centered around family wellness, holistic healing, and discussions on parenting. Zuri saw how her voice galvanized not just her story, but a ripple effect that inspired solidarity among fellow parents, creating an increasingly supportive community for children to flourish. Despite the enchantment of new beginnings, Zuri couldn't shake the gnawing sense of apprehension about her uncle. Whispers again flickered through the village, a rift between divided allies who believed her and those who deflected accountability. And when a confrontation arose at another community gathering, Zuri felt a familiar chill of anxiety wash over her. "Kofi, what if he tries to turn this against me?" Zuri whispered later that evening, her heart racing once more. Kofi wrapped his arms around her, vowing to face any storm together, bolstered by their unwavering commitment to one another. Weeks passed until Zuri learned that her uncle was gathering supporters, intending to trap her in a false narrative. Determined not to let fear dictate her actions, she decided that no matter the outcome, she was ready to confront her past in the light of day. As the village met to discuss the controversial rift instigated by her uncle, Zuri rose to stand among them. Sorrow and courage warred within her, but the love for her daughter enveloped her, giving her strength. "I have never sought vengeance, but rather peace and healing. I'm here to protect my baby and speak truthfully about my journey," she called out passionately. Zuri's words echoed throughout the gathering, filled with both fervor and fragility. The raw honesty shook her fellow villagers, and though whispers of disbelief lingered, overwhelming support surged behind her. She felt the energy in the room transforming, connections forging anew, setting a precedent for truth-telling and compassion amidst assumed allegiances. In that moment of vulnerability, Zuri glimpsed the power of her sisterhood, the emotional threads weaving together to construct a fortress against the tide. Hand in hand, they stood behind her, affirming a circle of fierce protectors ready to confront the storms together. Days turned into heated debates and discussions in the village, culminating in an urgent confrontation with her uncle. The day arrived when Zuri steeled herself to meet him face to face, fortified by the strength of her community. "Enough lies and deceptions," she declared, her voice unwavering amidst the tidal wave of emotions. Her uncle countered with anger and threats, but for Zuri, the resolve spurred life's clarity. She held steadfast, willing to confront the man who had shaped her past, ready to assert that fear was no longer her master. Zuri's bravery radiated across the gathering. Discussions grew into arguments, but Zuri stood strong. "This is my truth, and I won't be buried under your lies," she pronounced, invoking murmurs of agreement. The tide was turning, and Zuri felt the love of her community surrounding her, a powerful testament to unity and resilience. And as her uncle faltered in the face of collective power, Zuri discovered something profound. It was not just the truth of her story that shined, but the threads of belief woven amongst the hearts of those who stood with her. With her uncle's twisted narrative unraveling, Zuri felt a newfound sense of peace settle around her, an acceptance of what had transpired, coupled with fierce determination. The village began to foster programs emphasizing awareness and compassion, led by Zuri and Kofi's vision for a brighter future. Their love for Layla and their shared commitment sparked new ideas each gathering. Each voice created waves of compassion, striking a delicate balance between vulnerability and strength. As their community transformed, Zuri knew this was the real power, each heartbeat resonating across generations. As the season progressed, Zuri embraced the beauty of parenthood while championing social change. The scars of her past began to fade, but the wisdom gained layered her interactions with love and empathy. Together with Kofi, they cultivated a nurturing environment for Layla. She was their truth in the face of adversity, their belief in the possibility for change. Every meeting they facilitated solidified the legacy they aimed to build. Zuri found peace within her spirit, enjoying evening walks with Kofi and Layla, sharing laughter and stories, grateful for the light that danced amid the darkness. One sunny afternoon, while Zuri and Kofi played with Layla, they stumbled upon a small group discussing further initiatives aimed at empowering women. Their enthusiasm kindled an even deeper passion within Zuri. "Let's expand our impact. We need to create safe spaces for sharing stories," she suggested to the group. The momentum pressed forward, and plans began percolating. A series of workshops and community sharing programs were drafted, focusing on empowerment and healing. This was where their mission of resilience would thrive, celebrating the unity that flourished amongst the trials they had faced together. As the weeks unfolded, Zuri observed the blossoming of community ties, the sense of belonging transcending personal stories, binding together shared experiences in an uplifting embrace. Each gathering reinforced the power of voices joining together. Even more inspiring was the impact on Layla. Zuri and Kofi saw their daughter grow not only as an individual, but as a beacon of hope for generations to come. The laughter that fluttered through their home became the melody of contentment, nurturing love, and a profound celebration of life. Zuri felt a sense of belonging that intertwined her journey, a testament to the power of healing, love, and empathy. On the anniversary of their regional summit, Zuri and Kofi organized a celebration to honor the community's journey. It served as a reminder of how collaboration fostered strength, creating a ripple effect of impact beyond what they could have imagined. Gathering in the field adorned with symbols of growth and hope, Zuri felt overwhelmed with gratitude. They honored everyone, those who spoke, those who listened, and those who chose to be part of the change. As the sun set on the horizon, it bathed them in an orange glow, making every heartbeat echo harmony and unity. Soon after their celebration, Zuri received a visit from a woman she hadn't expected, a woman who had stood by her uncle's side, but now sought her out amid the transforming tides of empathy. Clara, her former family friend, arrived holding an olive branch of reconciliation, shaking the very foundation of Zuri's perceptions. "I've witnessed so much change within our village. And I've changed too, Clara confessed, her voice trembling with sincerity. Zuri felt an array of emotions, yearning and wary at once. Would she believe in the transformative power of sincerity, or would past pains forge a lingering division? Zuri listened carefully as Clara expressed remorse for the support she once lent to her uncle. What he did was unforgivable, and I was blinded by ties I thought were unbreakable. I now understand that silence hurts many, and I've come to support the truth, Clara spoke, her gaze unwavering. With each word, Zuri's heart softened, yet she wrestled with remnants of pain. She understood that forgiveness was a tool, a powerful one, but challenging to wield. Forgiveness is a journey, and it must be earned, not declared, Zuri replied delicately, realizing this could be a pivotal moment, not just for herself, but for Clara as well. Recognizing that small beginnings could pave the way for healing, Zuri engaged Clara in discussing the initiatives for women's empowerment within the community. To her surprise, Clara was eager to lend her voice and resources, advocating for the very cause that Zuri championed. A new alliance was born, a bridge between past and future. Together, Zuri and Clara began traveling to community centers, sharing knowledge about personal healing and the importance of compassion. It felt invigorating, a reminder that even in pain, empathy could flourish, transforming hearts and souls. As the outreach expanded, Zuri and Clara held forums to educate the community about emotional wellness, awareness, and the courage to speak out. The enthusiasm and willingness to change crossed barriers of age and gender, creating echoes of hope across the village. Weeks turned into months, and Layla continued to thrive in the supportive atmosphere circulating around her, a garden blooming with nurturing spirits. Zuri felt an unshakable optimism rise within her, believing wholly in the legacy they were cultivating, blossoming in the village, a mosaic of voices united in strength and compassion. Yet as the tide of triumph swelled, whispers of contention still echoed in the village. Zuri learned her uncle schemed further, gliding through shadows with heartless intentions to regain control. Even so, Zuri was resolute in her mission to protect her family and community, a warrior nurtured through her trials. Determined not to live in fear, Zuri initiated discussions about establishing a support network for victims, emphasizing safety and advocacy. They worked feverishly to create awareness, reinforcing that every story mattered, that there was power in united voices willing to drown out her uncle's deceit. The network blossomed, bringing together individuals like Clara, who had once stood on the sidelines. Their unity became a testament to the restored spirit of their community, a new dawn breaking through the clouds of despair. Zuri's involvement exemplified what healing could mean, when those brave enough to speak out reassembled the fragmented narratives, reclaiming their power. As vitality surged through the village, Zuri felt a profound sense of renewal, vibrant shades of laughter slicing through shadows as the community banded together to celebrate their journey. Layla giggled in the sun, a living reminder of their collective triumphs, transforming pain into laughter, creating a landscape of hope. Just as Zuri felt the village prospering, word spread that her uncle planned to disrupt their efforts once more. Untroubled, Zuri and Clara rallied their community, amplifying the call for awareness. "We won't let his darkness extinguish the light we've fought to create," Zuri proclaimed during a gathering, an intense resolve filling the air. The camaraderie among villagers became palpable, faces glowing with determination. Togetherness thrived as they stood arm in arm against the possibility of manipulation, armed with understanding, and a commitment to protecting their newfound unity. In a crucial meeting to address concerns, Zuri, Kofi, and Clara faced the community head-on, encouraging discussions that would establish boundaries for support and safety. They opened the floor for everyone present, opening channels for honesty, vulnerability, and the power of experiences. Zuri's vision for healing surged forward. A solid connection unfurled among shared stories. With each voice rising in solidarity, the sentiment shifted profoundly. The laughter and applause echoed loudly, vibrating through Zuri's soul. They were no longer tethered to fear, enveloped in the power of community and truth. On the day it was announced that Zuri's uncle placed a public claim on the network, tensions escalated. As villagers gathered, uncertainty loomed overhead. Zuri and Kofi held hands tightly and centered themselves amidst the growing anxiousness, while Clara fueled the embers of resilience. As their uncle attempted to shift the narrative, Zuri's voice rang stronger than ever before. "We owe it to ourselves to unite against abuse and manipulation. Our souls and spirits are intertwined," she passionately remarked, redefining the purpose of their efforts amid uncertainty. In a monumental moment, Zuri felt hope pulsating through the hearts of everyone gathered. They echoed her sentiments, standing as a unified front against injustice, reclaiming their spirit in a fierce wave of resilience. "Together we are stronger. We will not allow one person's selfishness to silence us," Zuri declared, empowered by the inquisitive gazes of witnesses. Amidst the rallying cries, Zuri watched as her uncle shrank further into shadows, the fortitude of the community crushing his feeble attempts for control. They would forge ahead, amplifying their message of healing and love, forging connections that bridged the past and future. As days passed after the community's stand against her uncle, the village witnessed a renaissance of healing and empowerment igniting their spirits. More stories emerged, individual journeys intertwining in the overarching tapestry of resilience they were building together. Zuri felt a surge of happiness. She could see in the eyes of her neighbors the chance for rebirth and renewal. It was a profound comfort, knowing the healing they shared would be a legacy Layla would inherit, a world filled with love, strength, and unyielding support amid adversity. With challenges falling behind, Zuri dedicated time to traveling beyond the village, advocating to neighboring communities. She felt an insatiable need to share her experiences, weaving a narrative that resonated across different social backgrounds, united in the singular cause of empathy and understanding. Kofi joined her adventures, forming bonds wherever they traveled, each encounter illuminating the landscape before them, enriching their mission to empower and uplift voices long hidden in darkness. The world fostered a spirit of possibility, welcoming the light they initiated. During one of their travels, Zuri encountered a survivor who spoke of her past in perplexing detail, recounting the series of manipulative relationships that led her to question her voice. The moment mirrored Zuri's own past so deeply, sparking an intense epiphany within her. "True strength comes from sharing our stories," Zuri shared, radiating strength. That moment marked a pivotal awakening for her, a realization that vulnerability could metamorphose into strength that spanned distances and offered the chance to ignite flames of hope across generations. At each turn, Zuri and Kofi fostered warmth within their bond, their journey of advocacy tying their hearts closer together. Through missions of persuasion, they became a beacon of hope, echoing compassion and commitment at every stop. Their love blossomed stronger, realizing that profound vulnerability nurtured resilience, both as advocates and as partners journeying forward together. Returning home, they felt unburdened by the shadows of their past, strengthened by the flourishing relationships around them. Every moment spent together blossomed into laughter and sweetness. Zuri and Kofi wished for nothing more than to envelop Layla in dreams of change, one rooted in the power of love. With the winds of transformation swirling, Zuri visualized a community gathering to celebrate not just the journey, but the growth they had achieved together. The idea ignited the villagers, who rallied around crafting an event with communal meals, storytelling sessions, and performances celebrating resilience. As the day approached, excitement filled the air. The culture of love blossomed within the vibrant community garden, a colorful tapestry enveloping them as they prepared for the culmination of their efforts. Every ounce of effort and dedication they had poured into the walls of fear danced through the atmosphere, anticipating joy intertwined with hope. The day of the celebration dawned breathtakingly bright, embracing villagers and visitors, seeking vibrant treasures of stories and joy. Laughter echoed through the gardens, showcasing the blossoming spirit of healing and resilience among them. Zuri beamed as she witnessed the scene, feeling love wrap around her like a warm embrace. The fires of shared stories fueled connection, and amidst the laughter and melodies, she recognized how far they had traveled together, not just as individuals, but as a communal force. As the open-air gathering surged with laughter, Zuri felt profound gratitude fill her heart. The legacy created the cooperation of resilient hearts, honored the past, while uplifting voices into a testament of love and hope. With Kofi and Layla at her side, Zuri had turned her journey into a tapestry that others would follow, that generations to come would embrace. Sitting among them, she wisely understood that love and empathy belonged to those committed to forging pathways through darkness. It was through exploration and recognition that the bonds strengthened and the legacy continued, blossoming toward an ever brighter horizon. And with that, Zuri closed her eyes, allowing the laughter, love, and warmth of countless hearts to wash over her, reveling in the magic of a community that stood resilient amid adversity, a transformation into hope and healing that would endure eternally.